So the last piece of my young adult fiction is Japan because I am of Japanese descent, and I know some people who know me. They're like, "Why don't you write about Latin American Japanese?" And I'm like, "Yes, with my original story, that is a missed opportunity that I would like to address. Maybe if I like redo the story or create a new story, that could be something that I would be open to." Now, with Japanese people living in the United States, even if you're Japanese American, your family went through the war and on this side and you got sent to military prison, or if you're like mainly Japan Japanese, both groups are homophobic. Which means, I mean, it doesn't matter if they have two children and both children are straight. Both children are going to grow up in a hostile family environment, regardless of whether they're born in the United States or Japan. So, and that's something I did not address with my original story that I would like to, if I revise the story or if I add to it, that's what I would like to address. And this will give you some basis of that. Now, this story actually only focuses on the third son, and this is only from the third son's perspective. Now, obviously, with the lastborns, they see exactly what's going on with the parents. They see exactly what happened to the firstborn. They see what happened to the secondborn. Since they're the lastborn, they see what is going on with the family and what went wrong. And then after the third son passed away, the author, who's a family friend, she gave the book to the parents. The parents read it, and all of a sudden they're like, "Whoa! I did not know what our three children were going through, growing up in San Jose, California, and this is why they lost all three of their sons." Now, this couple, they not only did talks throughout California, they also went to Japan. So they also gained, not just talking. So it's not just one way, but they actually, after they talk, they listen to what the audience has to say, and audience members have come forward to them and given their story. So they actually went farther, not just what happened, not just raising awareness about the virus, but also addressing the elephant that is in the Japanese American living room, which is homophobia, and addressing the elephant in the living room in Japan, homophobia also, plus Japan also on top of that, xenophobia. Now, with Japanese Americans after the war, they realized, oh, we can't just be Japanese living outside Japan, following made in Japan Japanese rules. We have to prove that we're a good American. So they pushed all three of their sons. You have to marry non-Japanese. You have to bring home grandchildren. But the thing is, two of the three children are gay. One is straight. The straight one is the one who passed away first. So, if I revise or if I add to my story, I would like to add this component as well. Because in my original story, I had both parents return to Japan. The firstborn is estranged from her parents because she married a non-Japanese, and their made in Japan Japanese parents, they expected both their children to not only be straight but to marry their own kind, and they don't realize, no, after World War II, that's no, you can't be Japanese living outside Japan following made in Japan Japanese rules. So that's that component. And so the reason why, so definitely I would like to revise that. Not really sure at this point how I want to address it or how I want to add to it, but definitely that's something I would like to bring up. So what happened was, the reason why she married this person who was not Japanese is because he was born with cystic fibrosis, so his life is going to be cut short. And I also added that when his mom was in the family way with him, she had a miscarriage, so the family has already they already know, they're going to lose two children. And the reason why I have these two get married is because even though his mom never talked about the miscarriage until later on, he kind of knew there's something missing. Where's his twin? And when he met this Japanese lady, he felt the spirit of his long lost twin. So that's why they got married. And obviously, his grandfather knows that her parents are not going to be happy about this. So the grandparents talk to her parents at length, and at the end of it, they offer a reverse dowry because they're going to lose their daughter because they don't want anything to do with their daughter who's going to marry this non-Japanese person. Now this person's younger sister is a people pleaser. Oh, I mean, she's brainwashed by her parents say it's the older daughter's fault, and the younger sister believes whatever her parents believe. So the younger sister, being the people pleaser that she marries a Japanese American, and since she maintains communication with her parents, and her parents are made in Japan Japanese, and all of her relatives are made in Japan Japanese, they destroy her first marriage, and she gets divorced. And again, the parents blame the older sister for marrying a non-Japanese, and the younger sister buys into it. But after her first marriage ends in divorce, she realizes, oh, older sister actually did the right thing. Before she got married, she shut off all communication from her parents. That's why her first marriage continues until her first husband passes away from cystic fibrosis. So what the second daughter does, her second marriage is to a man who's just like her, born in California. Parents are made in Japan Japanese. But before she gets remarried, she shuts off all communication from her parents. And again, her parents blame the older sister. This is the reason, it's the older sister's fault. And kind of like, same thing. The younger sister buys into it. She's brainwashed by her parents. So she does not reconnect with her older sister, even though she kind of understands, well, this kind of family, you need to cut the apron strings before you get married, otherwise your parents will destroy your marriage. So she shuts off all communication from her parents, and she still does not communicate with her older sister, even though she kind of understands why the older sister did what she had to do to make sure that her parents do not destroy her first marriage. So anyway, that happens in um, in 1990s, which ironically that book is also published in 1990s. So if I could redo the story, I would have a I'm probably most likely I would keep the family the same because I could feel this guy has cystic fibrosis. His mom had a miscarriage, and he doesn't deserve to have his life cut short and be a lifelong bachelor. So I would keep the story the same. They would get married, but this family is from San Francisco, and 2001 we know what happened. One of the flights was headed to San Francisco, so some of the characters, I have them. Unfortunately, they were on that fateful flight in 2001, and so the family in San Francisco, they have a grandson. He marries a Japanese American because Japanese Americans, you have to marry non-Japanese. The thing about him is that he is part African American, which adds another layer to this. And little known fact, a lot of people think San Francisco is very liberal, which they are, but African Americans are leaving San Francisco, and they're still talking about reparations for African Americans who left San Francisco and never returned. And with him, his issue is he wishes he was just seen as American, not with the hyphen. And his mother and his older sister, older brother, I mean, they get it, and it's not like they accept, but the fact that they will never be seen as American, but they acquiesce. I think the word is acquiesce. But with this person, this grandson, he doesn't acquiesce. He doesn't, he doesn't accept the way things are, and he feels that he can't talk to his mom and his siblings, even though they're all four of them are part African American. Um, but when he marries this Japanese American lady, they have a child. He's the medical bills just keeps coming, even though she's a lawyer and he has he has a degree in computer engineering. It's just too much for him. Plus the fact that he already has his self-imposed code of silence. So he ends up going to a specialist, getting himself fixed, and then his wife thinks, maybe it's because you just graduated from college. They just had the baby. It's a lot of stress, but she feels something is off. So she talks to this Japanese lady and her non-Japanese husband. Non-Japanese husband talks to her husband, and at first the husband says nothing is wrong, but obviously with guys, they know when the guy says nothing is wrong, something is seriously wrong. So he carefully, tests, feels the water, and finally gets the truth out of him. And the husband tells non-Japanese husband tells the Japanese American wife what happened. She's upset because she's like no, because she grew up. She knows what happened to her parents during the Second World War. They were sent to a military prison. They have to prove that they're good Americans by marrying a non-Japanese, making mixed race children. And all of a sudden, she learns that they're not gonna have they're not gonna have any additional children. He's upset. Anyway, 2001. What I do? The family from Scotland who lives in New York City, the family from San Francisco, they meet in New York City to finalize their business partnership because it's not just a marriage; it's a business partnership. And then the entire family from San Francisco boards that fateful flight in 2001. So fast forward, her husband, the Japanese lady, her husband passes away from cystic fibrosis. The part African American young man, his wife died in 2001. In 2009, they get married. They have to rush the marriage because their son's going to be 18, and at that point, she won't be able to adopt him. So they rush to get married. She also has a second surgery because she has endometriosis, and her husband was her physical therapist. So so yeah, I if I could redo my story, or maybe probably the better thing to do is to just add a second Japanese family. Add, because I don't like the way that family ended. I would like to have try different scenario. What if this happened instead? So maybe start with a different family. Go over the different path that this next family went through. So that's something that I'm working on. And yeah, let me know comments, questions, constructive criticisms, your input about this. And then next episode, I'll talk about how I came up with their names. See ya.